Hello, hello. Hey, gang. Um, Look at that. I have a pile of stuff over here. I'm gonna move my camera. Hey, it is Monday, time for Crochet Business Chat. I'm Pam. I was running late. I just sat down, so we're getting started. Let me fix my camera. All right, I'm leaving my pile of mail right there, so just ignore it. Um, I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm going to check out the comments real quick before I get started. Good morning, Kat. Good morning, Elena, Diana. Hey, everybody. So glad you're here. We are going to chat about the one thing that happens to everyone who sells at craft fairs, and that is when you have a craft fair that's a huge flop, and how to respond to that, what to do to try and ensure it doesn't happen again, and try and turn a negative into a positive. So, if you're a crochet business owner and you sell physical products, you are in the right place. If you are a designer, hang out with us. I'd love your feedback, and you may learn a thing or two, even though we're talking about physical products today. So, let me pop out. Good morning, everyone. So glad you guys are here. I'm going to pop over here. So, we're going to talk about 5 steps to take after a craft fair flops. So, all right, let me get myself organized. I feel like I need to do that. All right. Move my camera. No, I'm not. You guys. Okay. Um, Turn this off. Turn that on. All right. So number one, the first thing is check in with yourself and say, was it really a flop or did it just feel like a flop? So often we operate from a place of emotions rather than from a place of data. And we start making decisions based on emotion rather than on analytics. So I want you to check in. What does a flop even mean for you? Sorry about the flies. What does a flop mean? um, like is it a financial thing that's making you feel like it was a flop? Is it an emotional thing that's making you feel like a flop? Was it there weren't very many people there? Was it that you didn't sell very many products? Was it that you set your goals super high? We're having a crazy day today. Our door to the camper just flew open. um okay, so I'm going to try and get back on track. um Okay, so what are you defining as flop for yourself? And let's take a look at it from a CEO mindset. So step out of the emotion, step out of the it felt like a flop or it just didn't go the way I wanted to let's like take a look at it from a CEO place. CEO mode means you're managing your emotions. So put the emotions aside, take responsibility for what did or did not go right, um, analyze the data, and we're going to talk about that a little bit down the road. Um, Make a plan and work your plan. So, what I'm saying is take back some agency in your business. A lot of times when we have a negative experience or a bad craft fair, we all of a sudden go into hopelessness mode or we go into victim mode, and none of that is helpful for growing your business. So step back into your CEO mode, manage your emotions, and then let's take a look at the data. So the first thing I want you to do is so this is step number two. Step number two is make a list of everything that went right. So I want you to either make a spreadsheet or get a piece of paper and make 3 columns. If you have a spreadsheet, I like spreadsheets. I don't know if you're like me, but I'm kind of a freak about spreadsheets. So I would get a spreadsheet, and at the top, I would make 3 columns. The first one, what went right? The next column is whose responsibility was it? And the third column is what can I do next time? So sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy to come up with what went right. I want you to put down at least 5 things that went right. Hopefully, there's even more than that. But write down, um, I liked the person who was in the booth next to me, or the The traffic flow in my booth went great. I felt really organized. I had everything I need. All of those things you can put in your things that went right. And then next to whose responsibility was it, check in with that. Because if you've been following me for a while, you know that I think everything is your responsibility. But there are some times when we feel kind of there's a top level responsibility as far as, well, it was, let's say the craft fair didn't start on time. Oh no, we're talking positives. Let's say a lot of people came to the craft fair. So whose responsibility was that? Well, that's a lot of the times we see that responsibility as the responsibility of the promoter. So a lot of people showed up at the craft fair. There was great advertising, and that was the promoter's responsibility. And what can I do next time is I can help promote as well on my end, so I can make it even better. So this is about what went right, whose responsibility, kind of top level responsibility was it, and what can I do to make it even better next time. So this is kind of your empowering spreadsheet, okay? Then I want you to make a spreadsheet that listed all of your challenges, your failures, your flops, all of the negatives. Depending on your personality traits, this might be a short list, this might be a long list, but either way, just try and brain dump everything that went wrong, everything that was hard, everything that didn't go as planned. I didn't make as many sales. There weren't very many people there. I didn't like the person in the booth next to me. Somebody at the fair kept taking customers from my booth, pulling them over to their booth. Somebody had products that smelled and were driving people away from my, all of those things that could go wrong. Make your list. So the same thing, your spreadsheet's going to look like this. What went wrong? Whose responsibility was it? And what can I do next time? Again, we're looking at whose responsibility as far as the perceived responsibility, right? So if, for example, you're next to someone from Scentsy, and we know Scentsy loves to have their scents going, but oftentimes more and more people are allergic to scents, and that will drive people from your booth. And so somebody was next to me with Scentsy, and it was stinky, and people didn't stay in my booth because they didn't like it. Whose responsibility was that? Well, it's a responsibility of the booth promoters to ensure that that kind of thing doesn't happen. It's the responsibility of the person selling the Scentsy products. And it's also your responsibility to do something about that. So next, what can you do next time? You could contact the promoters ahead of time and say, are you allowing direct marketers? Are you allowing people to have scents going in their booth? Are you allowing people to have music going in their booth? All of these things that might impact my customers. You check on that ahead of time and ensure that you're going to be in a place that isn't impacted by that. Or you could only do craft fairs that sell physical products, and you don't have to worry about some of those tactics of direct sellers. No offense to direct sellers. Sometimes things like that happen. Okay, so make these two spreadsheets, and this will give you kind of a pathway to how to make everything better next time. So this is your plan, okay? Next is conduct a full debrief of your craft fair. So not just those two things that I said, but there's a whole bunch of other things you can look at to debrief your craft fair. And I do have a free worksheet for you, and I have the link in the description of this video on YouTube. Or if you're watching on Facebook, you can just say, tag me and say I would like the link, and that will remind me to come put it in the description of these on Facebook as well. But I'm just going to take a look over at what that debrief looks like. So let me pop over here. So here's the debrief. You can see, so this is the form. And so if you send me a request, I'll send you this form directly to you. You can either open it in Canva and use it as a template. You can change the fonts, you can change the colors, you can change some of the text if you want to. So I'll give you the link to the Canva template, and I'll also give you the PDF form. So if you just want to do the easy way and pull it up and print it, you could do it either way you want. So it has the different areas are the location and contact info, which I always think is important. So if you're doing this craft fair next year, you have all the information on contacting that person to ask the questions you need to ask next time. Then it has different market variables that you need to look at, like how was the advertising, how was the parking, how was the weather that day, what kind of customers were at this fair, those kinds of things. Then it has your income and expenses. Again, we want to check the data before we decide if it was a good craft fair or not. So what were your income, what was your expenses, and what was your total profit? Your inventory and trends. How much inventory did you bring? How much sold? What were people really interested in? What colors did they like the best? What products did they like the best? All of that. I always add on this form a new product evaluation form. So if you're in your second, third, fourth year doing craft fairs and you're changing up your inventory, this way you can assess whether those new products that you added to your product line are performing the way that you would want, or if you're just going to decide next year to leave those out. And then finally, notes and impressions. So this is for you to take notes about, how you felt about it, maybe some things from those spreadsheets of what can I do better next time. Put those in here so that when you get ready for next year, you'll have all the information you need. So again, you can request this debrief form via the link in the description. And let's come back. Hi. All right, let's come back here. And finally, step 5, integrate what you've learned and make a plan. So sometimes the whole thing comes down to your customers were not at this craft fair. You did everything right, but your customers weren't at this craft fair. Your plan is, I'm not doing that craft fair again. And I'm really going to check into different fairs before I sign up to sell at them to make sure that my customer base will be there. So basically, you're going to go through everything we talked about, steps 1 through 4, figure out what you've learned, what you can do better next time, and make a plan for next year so that you can sign up for craft fairs where your people will be, people are excited to buy your products, etc. So the most important thing is get back on the horse. So, a lot of times people will say, just do another fair, it will be fine. Well, I want you to get back on the horse, do another fair with confidence. If you know anything about riding horses, if you fall off the horse and then you get nervous and you get back on the horse with your anxiety and your fear, that's going to translate to the horse, and the horse is going to not perform. And it's the same way with your craft fairs. If you have a bad craft fair, you get nervous, you get freaked out, you go to your next craft fair, when you're operating from a place of being freaked out, your business doesn't perform. So step into that CEO role, manage your emotions, go in excited, go in anticipating making great sales, connecting with customers, learning new lessons, and it will go much better for you. So those are my 5 tips for today. Tell me, was this helpful? I will pop over into your comments in just a minute. If you did find this helpful, whether you're a craft fair or a product seller, a designer, if you sell crochet, if you sell something else, if this was helpful, I'd appreciate it if you would click that like button so YouTube will know that people liked this video. And then if you want more tips, subscribe, hit the notification bell, etc. All of those things that we have to say on YouTube. Be sure to hit all notifications so that you get notified when I upload new videos. And then we have something new going on where you can text me at this number, 719-781-2417. Text that number and you'll get subscribed to hopefully daily inspiration texts, affirmations, business tips, and reminders about Crochet Business Chat videos going live. So if you text that, you just text it and say, hey, send me texts, and I'll put you on the list. And whenever I send out a text, typically in the mornings, you'll get those. So it's just a new fun way that we can stay connected. So that is that. I'm going to go over and check the comments. All right. Lots of hellos. What are the ramifications of backing out of a craft fair? I noticed that you mentioned on one of our morning chats that you did and would love your feedback. So I don't recommend it. If you are making a business out of this and you want to stay connected to different promoters and do that craft fair next year, do everything in your power to not back out. Physical product sales is not the focus of my business. It's just kind of an aside thing that I do. So I backed out because it wasn't, it just didn't fit into my plans for my life right now. So I've never backed out on one before, but I did have 2 scheduled up in Colorado Springs that we moved away from there. And so I can't back out on those. And then I scheduled one here for in Canyon City. And there was just no way that I could manage it with our life the way it is right now. So I backed out, and I don't expect that I will be invited. They did say, we were so excited to have you, and, we'll send you a message next year to see if you want to come back. So they weren't hurt about it. So that's good, but it just depends on the promoter. Some promoters are like, if you back out, you're never invited again. So, and those 2 fairs in Colorado Springs, basically, the fairs are so good that they basically say, if you want to get a booth at those fairs, somebody has to die. So, they only let in maybe 2 or 3 new vendors every year. So by backing out, I've given up my spot. So I would have to go back onto the wait list of people looking for booths at their fair. So I don't expect that I would be doing fairs there again. So I really don't recommend backing out unless it's an emergency. And if it is, be very clear with the promoters that it was an emergency. You're super sorry. As for me, I told them, I understand I probably can't get my money back for the booth. Please use it to benefit the kids. These are at high schools and stuff. So I wasn't, I didn't say like, you have to give me my money back. I wasn't hard-nosed about it. I didn't have expectations about it. So it just depends on how you connect with people, how you cancel, and kind of what their rules are. Okay. A lessons learned activity is always something I've done for any project I've tackled, including how my online craft fair business. Yeah. I'm not doing craft fairs this year because I didn't think I'd have enough finished items. Is there a rule of thumb to know how much inventory you need to have for a craft fair? I do have a inventory spreadsheet that if you are in CBA, you can quickly get access to. If you don't, then go to crochetpreneur.com and search inventory, and you can request it from there. So it tells you kind of based on your goals, how much inventory you need to make. So my goal is typically to sell at least $800 a day at craft fairs. So for that, I have to take a look at my profit margins and all of that, and then I bring 2 to 3 times the inventory for the sales that I want to make. Since COVID, there have been hardly any markets. I did have my usual outdoor street festivals. I'm actually going to put this up on the screen. But none of my indoor events happened. I tried a pop-up market only a few blocks from me, but while I made my table feedback, it was totally not my target market and felt completely out of place there. Yeah, that happens. And this year, I would stay away from indoor markets anyway. So outdoor markets are kind of, I'm sorry. In the summertime, I would stay away from indoor markets. Outdoor markets are cool. Here, indoor markets are fine. If you're concerned, then you bring your mask and stay distance from people. But yeah, going to a craft fair and having your people not there is one of the dangers. And so that you take that as data and know that you're not going to do that fair again. Let me take this banner down. There we go. All right. Crystal's coming back to watch later. How much advertising should you do yourself to promote the craft fairs that you participate in so that you give your people a chance to attend? Lots. If you know that you have a local customer base, and you will build that up from year to year, first, I suggest that you use an email list, gather emails at your craft fair so that you can email those folks and let them know. I also suggest on your website having an events page so that you list all the fairs that you're going to be at. And then I suggest also creating an event, even if the craft fair itself has an event on Facebook. I suggest that you create an event and invite all of your people. If the promoters haven't created an event, then you create one and you invite other people that you know are members to come to be in that event so they can invite all of their people too. So if the promoters aren't doing their job in advertising, then you and your friend vendors who will be at this craft fair can take over that responsibility, because ultimately it comes down to getting people in the door, and then you can convert those people into sales. But if they don't show up, you don't make sales. So as much advertising as you're able to do, I would do. At the event, the music was so loud it was impossible to have a conversation. Okay, that's when you approach the promoters and say, this is too much. So we have had that several times at craft fairs that I've been at. And typically when you go to the person who's doing the craft fair and say, my customers are complaining, can we please turn the music down? Usually they will do that without issue. Sometimes our craft fairs are run by teenagers, their parents are helping them and stuff like that, and the teenagers will turn the music up, and then so we go talk to an adult and they'll turn it down. So but don't get stuck in this is happening at the craft fair, it's bothering my customers and I can't do anything about it, because you can. You go to the person who's running the craft fair and say, this is impacting my sales. Like my customers are complaining, people aren't happy, people are leaving. Can you please turn the music down? So step into that, like, I have some control over this place. Quick question. Oh, terrible weather forecasted for my last outdoor show Saturday. Any recommendations? I already have walls and battery powered lights. Anything else? So Crystal, this is going to be an outdoor festival, I guess that's what we're looking at. I would bring a heater. If it's going to be cold, put your walls up and keep your opening, as tight as possible, but still welcoming people in. But if you can have a heater, I would have a heater so that people find a refuge in your space. You could even go so far as to have a coffee maker or a hot cocoa stand or something right there so that people are drawn into your booth. I have found that the conversion rate for bad weather days, if it's snow, is higher than on regular days, because people come into the booth with this mindset of like, it's freezing outside. And so they come into your booth and they're like, oh, this is stuff that will be helpful for that. And so I'm going to get one for my mom and for my kids and for my, my girlfriends, whatever. So your conversion rate will likely be higher. So I hope that's the case for you. I was at a fair and the customers were great, but fellow crafters not so friendly. My husband says there's no one so unfriendly as craft fair vendors. He doesn't say it that nicely, but he's in the food vendor industry, and food vendors, I would say 80% of the food vendors are great, and they're all there to support each other, and they're all there, helping each other and really enjoying it, and they create kind of a really fun atmosphere. It's not always the case at craft fairs. A lot of time craft fairs, I think it's just the mindset of a craft fair vendor is often a mindset of scarcity. There's only so many customers. There's only so much money. People are only going to be spending so many things, on so many things. And so it's it's me or them. So they create this atmosphere of everyone is the enemy, everyone is the competition, and it creates a really negative atmosphere. You don't be that person. All right. So you can go in and shift things by introducing yourself to your neighbors, bringing little treats, doing, whatever, offering to watch their booth if they need to go to the restroom, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, it happens. But I would hope that we can shift the tide by bringing in our own positive attitudes. You also have not a great spot. Next one will be better. Yep, just brush off the negative attitudes. Yes, Sonia, you do great at your craft fairs. You typically do amazing. So this was just a bad experience. Next time will be better. So, okay, just a couple more and we are going to be done for our Monday and we can get on with the rest of our week. I normally would have said something about the music, but I didn't feel comfortable to do so. I was basically the only, oh, you felt like a minority in the group there. Yeah, I mean, if something's going wrong and we don't say something about it, then we can't really complain about it, right? And then look to find craft fairs that you're going to feel comfortable at. Allison, I was thinking of having a big bowl of tangerines. I didn't know what that word was. In my stall on Sunday for people to help themselves to win. Is good or bad idea? Tangerines, it could be a good idea as long as you say, please wait to have this till later, because people's hands are going to get sticky. You don't want those sticky hands touching your stuff or touching other people's stuff. So that's just something to think about. People love gifts. So, giving them something, draw them in, let them know you appreciate them is always a great idea. Just think about, like sometimes people give candy to kids and then they get chocolate or they get sticky hands and then they're touching things. So just think about how you can mitigate that. Okay, that is our crochet business chat for this Monday morning. I would appreciate it if, again, you would click that like button, if you would share this video with your friends, if you have friends who do craft fairs, whether they're crocheters or not, and if you would like my step-by-step craft fair debrief form, you can request that via the link in the description. I think that's it. All right, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And I will be around. Those of you in CBA, we have Q&A tomorrow night. And have a great week. I'll see you guys later.